Hi YouTubers, it's Videos 7.0. Talk about right now my opinion on something. So essentially I want to give my opinion on gun rights. Now this is a controversial subject, so if you're not into watching that kind of crap, please click off right now. You have been warned. So you know what to do. You don't like this kind of topic? Click off right now. You have been warned. Anyway, I want to give my opinion on gun rights and the Second Amendment and, gun ownership, that kind of crap, do I own a gun? And basically, people might ask me like, hey, Smoking Essie, I've never heard your opinion, like your asshole, on, gun rights or the Second Amendment, or what's your opinion? Do you live in the United States, or what is your opinion? Do you own a gun yourself, I just want to give my opinion, my asshole, on this topic. So anyway, enough rambling. So first off, I do live in the United States. I live in Massachusetts, in the United States. Second off, I do not own a gun. I don't own a gun. My family does not own a gun. We are not gun owners, and we are not big gun people. So that's my initial thing. So a lot of people ask me like, hey, Smoking Essie, like, do you have a gun in your house? Or do your parents have a gun? Are your parents big gun people? I'm not going to get too much into politics, that kind of bullshit, but obviously I will say that I'm very left wing myself. So I'm a Democrat myself, sorry. And also my parents are very Democratic, themselves. So that's the first thing I'll say. Not getting too much into that kind of bullshit. So enough talking about that kind of crap. So basically, in terms of gun rights, I'm not somebody who's a big gun person. I'm not. I hate to disappoint people. People might say, wow, like you're a, very pro-tobacco, so you're probably pro-gun also, because a lot of people who are pro-tobacco are pro-gun. They're very right-winged, people. So, and that's just not me. So, I am very pro-tobacco, very pro-choice. Very, what you put in your own body is your own choice. However, I will say this. I'm not somebody who's very pro-gun. I'm actually somebody who's very anti-gun myself. I've never owned a gun in my life, even though I'm over 21, over 18. I have no desire to own a gun. I've never been to a shooting range. I've never shot a gun myself, nor do I have any desire to shoot a gun. I have no desire to use a firearm myself. I have no desire to become a security officer, police officer, military operations person. So no, I've never used a gun myself, aside from like a squirt gun, like a pretend squirt gun, like toy gun, obviously like a pretend squirt gun or like laser gun, like laser tag, that kind of crap, but no, like an actual physical, I've never even used a BB gun myself. So no. I don't hunt myself. A lot of people say like, hey, Smoking Essie, do you hunt deer? Do you hunt, antelope? Just being silly ass, like the big ass cigar. Like, do you hunt, deer or birds? Do you do any kind of like sports like hunting and fishing? Nope, I don't. So I hate to disappoint you guys. Yes, I'm very pro-tobacco. I'm very pro-choice. What you put in your own body is your own choice. I'm pro-legalization of marijuana, legalization of all drugs. I'm very pro, obviously in moderation, drinking alcohol responsibly. That's your own personal choice, like your asshole. Everyone has one. But it's like, no, I'm not very pro-gun myself, and the reason why I'm not very pro-gun is because it ruins so many lives. You might say, well, tobacco ruins a lot of people's lives. Guns, it's like, I'm not somebody who's very pro-gun. I hate to come off as a dick, come off as a total jerk, but, I am not pro-gun. And maybe this is part of the reason I'm fucking biased, and people will say, why are you so fucking biased? Is because I've never needed a gun in my life, neither to hunt or to defend myself, mainly to defend myself. Personally, I have no interest in hunting. I'm hunting, so I'm not interested in hunting. I am a big animal lover. I'm somebody who would feel horrible if I shot a deer or shot a bird or shot a duck, I would feel horrible. I would never hunt in my life, and that's why you have a fucking grocery store in this day and age. You don't need to hunt animals to survive. We're not living in the 1700s. It's like, I hate to come off as a dick. It's like, but yeah, I have no interest in hunting, or fishing. I have fished a couple times in the past, not for a long time, but I have fished a couple times in the past, like catch and release. But anyway, yeah, I'm not somebody who's very pro-hunting, and neither do I need a gun to defend myself. You might say, well, Smoking Essie, what if somebody like broke into your house? What if somebody was trying to burglarize your house or, commit a home invasion in your house? Wouldn't you want a gun to defend yourself and your family? honestly, the chance of that happening in this area, I'm not going to say where I live. That's my fucking confidentiality. I'm not going to say which town I live in. All I will say is I live in Massachusetts, in the United States, in the Northeast. Honestly, the chance of that happening where I live is so low. The chance of my house being burglarized or my apartment being burglarized is so fucking low, it's not even worth worrying about. I mean, honestly, the chance of, when I go to work in the morning with my apartment, somebody, coming up to my apartment door and taking a screwdriver or taking a hammer and trying to break into my apartment door and stealing my iPhone or stealing my computer or stealing my iPad, it's not even worth worrying about. FYI, for your information, I live in a very, very safe area. I don't live in the middle of the city. I mean, I know a lot of people do live in the city, and a lot of people like living in the city. I don't live in the city. I don't live in the ghetto. I don't live in any kind of major metropolitan area where there's a high crime rate. There's a lot of shootings, stabbings, all that kind of happy horseshit. I don't live in anything like that. So I live in a very safe, small suburban, or not small, but I'd say suburban area. So around here, you might get a murder every 10 years. I mean, it's all in my town, almost unheard of to have a murder or a stabbing or a shooting or anything like that. That horrible shit, I mean, it is horrible shit, as in bullshit is bullshit, you don't see, people getting stabbed or shot or, or like muggings or robberies, like maybe once a year. It's so infrequent. I mean, and now unfortunately there are some people, I know of people in my own family, you're not going to say who do live in that kind of environment, who definitely have to be worried about, making sure their apartment door is locked, making sure their house is locked. They did live in a much more dangerous area. I mean, around here where I live, not going to say where I live, you might get a few underage drinking parties. You might get some speeding tickets, moving violations. You might get some people trespassing or being disorderly. You're not going to get murders and rapes and robberies, anything like that. So nothing like that. It's a very, 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 very safe area where I live. So yeah, that's the whole point. It's that's part of the reason I don't need a fucking gun, is because I don't need to defend myself. It's I don't have to worry about, it's, midnight, I'm asleep, and somebody might, take a hammer and break into my apartment and, come in and try to burglarize my apartment. Or I'm at my parents' house, on the other side of town, and I might be somebody might try to take a screwdriver and, chip the lock and try to break into the house. I'm not saying that's impossible and that has never happened where I live. I'm not saying, people have never tried to do that. I'm not saying there's never been a violent crime around where I live and people are like, oh, you're just playing lucky. You're playing lucky smoking SC. You're just hoping something bad won't happen. You need a gun to defend yourself. What if somebody does break into your apartment? What if somebody does try to break into your parents' house? It's not likely. It's really not likely. I mean, this is where I live, not going to say where I live, it's such a safe area. You don't need, people around here in general, even though this is where I live, I'm not going to say where I live, is a very, well-off community. People generally don't carry a firearm in their house. It's not like living in, fucking New York City or, fucking Chicago or, fucking, San Francisco, California, where, you have to, everyone carries a firearm, everybody wears a bulletproof vest because they're worried they're going to get shot at. It's we don't have drive-by shootings, we don't have stabbings, it's you might get that every 3 to 5 years. Yeah, I think it was a couple of years ago, there was something like that happened, and 10 years ago there was a murder, but it's not like the inner city, and believe me, I'm not trying to sound racist, I'm not trying to sound like a dick, I'm not trying to sound like, oh, I'm making light of, that crap, no, it's but around here, we don't get that kind of crap, we simply don't get that crap around here. We might get okay, some kids threw an underage drinking party, and somebody left the underage drinking party drunk, it's but we don't get like, oh, people are, breaking into houses or doing drive-by shootings, all that kind of crap, all that horrible crap, it's like, we simply don't get that crap. It's like, anyway, that's all I wanted to say is I don't need a firearm to defend myself, because honestly, it's so safe where I live. I can walk the back streets, near where I live at 9 o'clock at night, and I'm more concerned about getting sprayed by a skunk, a nice big ass skunk like the Big Ass Cigar, than getting, mugged or robbed. But I know there's a lot of people, to be fair, there's a lot of people who will play devil's advocate and say, I live in a very dangerous place. And yeah, it's probably a good idea if you are licensed and approved to carry a firearm or a weapon, because you are in a dangerous area. So I'm just lucky and blessed I don't live in a dangerous area. So anyway, pretty fucking cool. Bye.